It's December 20th, 2020. This is all about your Benjamins and your weekly mixtape. Hope you had a great week. Heading into the shortened holiday week. Hope you're all ready. If you're celebrating Christmas, you have all your gifts ready to go. If you just are wrapping up Hanukkah, hopefully that was good. And all the other holidays that are out there. Truth be told, I don't know them all, so I don't want to rattle off and miss any of them. But happy holidays ahead of time from myself. Let's get into the headlines that may or may not be impacting your financial plan and portfolio. We've got a handful of them, but really not a lot to say. So a lot of events, a lot of exciting stuff going on. But as the normal, it's not really impacting your long-term plan, your long-term investment strategy. But still, let's hit on the headlines. The first one is Joe Biden was officially confirmed by the Electoral College, the votes, as our next president. Now, I know that there is still talk about President Trump contesting and not wanting to leave the White House. You never know how much of that's really true. The transition has been going on, and now we have this confirmation. So it's been relatively quiet, and honestly, I would have expected a little bit more turbulence given the weirdness of this last election with contesting and lawsuits and everything going on. But nonetheless, that's been pretty quiet, and we've been really focused on, the COVID vaccines coming out, which is going to be our next couple headlines. But then also on the other side, a lot of small businesses are still continuing to struggle. You see places like New York and LA and California shutting things down more, but there's no support for small business and people that are struggling. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like anything's going to be happening anytime soon. Let's get to the COVID news. As I'm sure you're probably aware, but this is still pretty big news. You had the Pfizer approval. Those vaccines were being shipped out and being administered. And then Moderna's also got the emergency approval as well. So that will be beginning to circulate also. So we're getting the vaccine out there. There's a couple camps out there. Those that are wanting to get it right away and others that don't trust it. It is kind of a unique situation in that we've been able to have this vaccine be ramped up and done very quickly. Personally, I wonder what are the long-term side effects of it. So a lot of back and forth, and unfortunately, I think this will be politicized, like so much of what's been going on over the last year as well. But nonetheless, I view that as a positive. I view that as a positive for COVID to get the vaccine out there. But I also look at it as a positive. I think I've touched on this in the past, just about how capitalism can work, how innovative we are as Americans to be able to get this done, put all of our resources together and move forward relatively quickly for the better of everybody is pretty inspiring if you ask me. So at the end of the day, I think it's a positive. I don't know if I'll be one of the first ones to go out and get it, but I also, get vaccinated for the flu and everything. Our kids get to go to school. So I believe in optimism. I believe in trusting that this is all for the better. And maybe in the day that I look like a fool back in the day, 20 years down the road, I look like a fool saying this today. But I think that at the end of the day, this was created for the right reasons. It's done in a safe way, although it's quicker than we're usually. And this may mean that in the future, vaccines and drugs are fast-tracked and able to get done a lot faster because of the procedures that were implemented on this. So I think it's a positive all the way around. Going to what's going on with the small businesses and cities and states shutting things down, it doesn't look like there's going to be another COVID package being passed. There's one that's being talked upon right now, but it doesn't look like they're going to be getting it done anytime soon. There was a 2-day extension of the budget bill by President Trump to give Congress more time to get this done. But still, last I saw, there was nothing going on. It looked like there was still some roadblocks there, which is a shame because some of what slows us all down is trying to add other things to a bill rather than just itemizing everything and say, okay, we're passing this part, table this part, and do it later. We try to throw stuff that really doesn't apply in just to get it passed with the bill with other important things. So politicians continue to frustrate me and frustrate many, but hopefully something will get passed soon because there are a lot of small businesses struggling. People have put their blood, sweat, and tears and everything into these businesses and have been getting no help, while bigger businesses get a little bit different treatment and have been okay and actually growing and cannibalizing. So we'll be interested to see how this comes out. I think with anything, there's opportunity. So while some small businesses will not make it out of this, it will make way for other small businesses to come in and either fill that gap or fill a new gap that is now needed because of the way the world has changed. So That's not good for the small businesses that don't make it, but hopefully those innovative people will continue to innovate and find new ways to start businesses going forward. Hopefully we get some help from our politicians soon. Sticking with politics, the Federal Reserve said that all the U.S. banks are in a good position to withstand the COVID-19 pandemic. So coming out of the Great Recession, 2008, 2009, the banks were probably the problems. They got bailed out. So with those bailouts came new requirements for how much they have to keep in cash reserves and the way that they can do buybacks of their stock. So they have to capitalize different than they did in the past, which makes them in a better situation to make it through turbulent times. That being said, they test it all the time. They put them through stress tests. If these things happen, do the banks have enough money to survive? What problems can come from it? And it shows that the stress tests are showing that the banks are in good shape and that the pandemic is not going to impact them in a negative way that would create a financial crisis like we've seen in the past. So that's a good thing. So sometimes government intervening may not always be a bad thing, but it's put the banks in a better position to not have another 2008, 2009. And speaking of banks, not directly there, but Bitcoin is continuing to run up if you haven't been paying attention. Yesterday, I think it was above $24,000 for Bitcoin. 2017, we had a huge run, a big crash, and it's been a big run up this year. But there is a company called Coinbase, which is probably the biggest provider for buying Bitcoin that's out there. But Coinbase is basically an app that allows you to buy Bitcoin. You can hold it there or you can transfer it out elsewhere. We won't get into the weeds of how you actually buy and store Bitcoin, but it is going to be filing for an IPO, which just shows that this conversation about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is not going anywhere. It is going to be staying around. Will it replace the dollar? Will it replace gold? That's to be determined, but nonetheless, there is a place in the market for Bitcoin, and we're seeing that take stand with Coinbase filing an IPO, with Bitcoin at 24,000, with companies like Mass Mutual staking part of their reserves in Bitcoin. They purchased $100 million of Bitcoin a couple weeks ago. Bigger organizations are putting money into these into Bitcoin and some other the cryptocurrencies. So it'll be here. Doesn't mean you have to invest in it if you don't understand it. I think a traditional portfolio is still going to get you where you need to be, but I think this is not the same thing we saw in 2017. We have a lot more buy-in from bigger organizations, which is going to keep it around. Then the question is Bitcoin the one that survives, or is there another one that has better technology that replaces it? Right now it's Bitcoin, so interesting to follow. I'm enjoying it. It's been a cool thing to learn about and just see the use cases and understand what all is going on with it and what it means to the bigger picture, and helping people who don't usually have access to capital get access to capital. All right, so that's it for this week. I rambled a little bit, but I wanted to get a few points out there. So if you're watching this on YouTube, head over to allaboutyourbenjamins.com to check out the mixtape articles. There's also a link in the comments below or in the description below to get you over there. If you're watching this on All About Your Benjamins, look down. There's the mixtape. Check those articles out. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for reading, thank you for support. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to be increasing the content coming out of RLS Wealth in 2021. And be sure to subscribe to the blog because I'm increasing the content coming there. I'm coming back to writing. I've missed it for a little while, and I've carved out time for every other week to have a blog post on All About Your Benjamins. I've been doing that the last couple of weeks. So it's been fun to get back to writing that. Thanks for watching. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the next episode.